Shalom, my Israelite brothers and sisters. So first of all praises to our Elohim and to his holy son, HaMashiach. So I've been getting a numerous amount of requests from you all to do a lesson on prayer and fasting. Now I had another lesson lined up and getting ready to do another 3-part lesson, maybe a 2-part, kind of see where it goes. It's not going to be on the law, but it's going to be on something that we've been hammering for a while now. But I wanted to bring this, the Most High put this on my heart because I know many of you have been asking about this. So it is a very important subject to be dealing with. So, and as we get into it, we're going to really show you some things, what fasting is all about, what it's for, and what have you. But you know, when you really think about it, saints, when you think about fasting, praying, whether it's afflicting your souls, working out your salvation with fear and trembling, all of it is to bring us closer to the one high Yah, the Most High Yah. That's what it's for. And in our journey, you know, we all know that this is no easy walk. And it's a constant struggle. You know, we're constantly battling with our family members, whether it's our kids, our parents, friends, co-workers, even the heathens. So this is no easy walk by far. So I just want to make sure I put that out there and you all understand that. And I know a lot of you always put on my comments saying that, hey, I'm alone. Well, guess what? You know, we're all alone. We're not alone, like, without the Most High, you know, but as far as worshiping with other brews and things like that, you know, but we're scattered. We're a scattered people. So it's going to be like that. But I'm telling you, saints, hang in there. Stay strong, stay in the word, because in reality, you're not alone. Where there's 2 or 3 gathered, there I am. So you're not alone. It just feels that way, and it's going to feel that way for a while. But, you know, we ain't got long. Things are wrapping up, and it's getting ready to happen. I keep telling y'all, we're going to be the generation that sees this thing fall. And this is why we must use all of our strength and our soul and our might to worship Elohim. And if you go to Isaiah 45 and verse 6, it says that they may know from the rising of the sun and from the west that there is none beside me. I am Elohim, and there is none else. And this is certain, brothers and sisters. There is no other God besides Elohim. Elohim is the almighty Elohim, the Alpha and the Omega, which means no beginning or no end. Now let's go over to Mark. I want to show you something else too. Let's listen to what HaMashiach says. Mark 10, verse 18. And it says, and HaMashiach said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is Elohim. So our main focus is Elohim, brothers and sisters, and his laws. And that's what we have to spend our full energy on doing. And, you know, this is a good subject to do because when we're talking about fasting and praying, that's what it's all about. It's all about bringing us closer to the Most High Yah. Now, before we start getting into the scriptures and talking about fasting and what have you, I do want to put a disclaimer out there for you, saints. So if you have diabetes or you're suffering from any other medical issues, I highly recommend that you seek medical professional help. Because, you know, we are living in a time of disease and pestilence, and everything that we eat and drink is toxic. So, you know, everybody can't fast like others. All right. So just please make sure you seek professional medical help before you attempt to fast. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there for you. All right. So let's get the basics. What is fasting? So we're going to talk about the why, purpose, and reason why Hebrews fast. And then I'm going to show you some examples of our forefathers fasting in the scriptures. So let's go to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. So fasting or abstinence from food and drink for a longer or shorter period is frequent mention in the scriptures. So we know, of course, it's very simple things. It's just abstaining from water, drink, and food. And most people have different types of fasts that they do. Some people maybe go on an all fruit fast. Some people do an all water fast. Some people do just no water and drink. So any way you do it is going to be between you and the Most High. So I just want to provide a base for you to go by and a model. So as we start getting into some of these things. Now, here's the golden question that most people ask me. Well, how often should we fast? And that's a very good question. How often should we fast? Well, the Most High Yah only gave us one appointed time to fast. One fast out of the year, which is the Day of Atonement, which is called Yom Kippur. So let's go to Leviticus chapter 23 and 27. And it says, also on the 10th day of this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict, that word afflict is associated with fasting, your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto Elohim. So it was only required once a year that we fast for that whole day during the Day of Atonement. And Yah's willing, I'd like to do a separate lesson on that when the time comes around. We will be doing the Day of Atonement a couple of weeks before it comes around. But the Most High Yah only required one fast out of the year. Now, however, saints, any fasting outside of that is going to be totally between you and the Most High. So when you ask me the question, how often should we fast? Well, that's going to depend upon the Spirit leading upon you to fast. So, because there's no other scriptures that require you to fast outside of the Day of Atonement, unless you're led by the Spirit to fast, like a Hamashiach was. And we all know the story about that, and we're going to talk about that a little later. So I'll say it again. Fasting outside of the Day of Atonement is totally voluntarily between you and the Most High. So why do some people fast? What is the purpose of fasting? And there's all kind of reasons, Zion. Many reasons. The reasons are limitless, okay? Most people fast to try to overcome an addiction, regardless what addiction it may be. And, many people have overcome their addictions through fasting. And just make sure when you do fast, any kind of fast, just make sure you're sincere and you're serious about it. Because I'm going to show you what our forefathers did, because they took advantage of it. They took it in vain. They were fasting in vain, and it accomplished nothing. And if you're fasting and it doesn't accomplish what it's supposed to accomplish, then you're going to have to reevaluate your lifestyle. You're going to have to reevaluate your relationship with the Most High. And just because you don't have your prayers answered through fasting doesn't mean that the Most High is not hearing you. There's something that the Most High is trying to tell you. Maybe you're going about it the wrong way. I don't know. You all know your relationships with you and the Most High better than anyone else on the face of this earth. So, it's just going to be up to you and how, you commit yourself. Not only is fasting good for overcoming addictions, but it's good for receiving an answer to a prayer. Maybe you're praying for that daughter that's in jail. Maybe you're praying for that son that's in jail. Vice versa. Maybe you're praying for that mother or dad that's in jail. Maybe you just need an answer to a prayer that you've been praying for who knows how long. Like I said earlier, the reasons are limitless. There's all reasons why people fast. Now, the next question you're probably asking, well, how long do we fast? Again, there's no concrete answer for that. That's going to depend totally upon you and the Most High. I've heard Hebrews who fasted for a couple of days to anywhere from 6 days. This depends. Now, we know that our Hamashiach fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, but however, he was led of the Spirit. That's the key word, brothers and sisters. So let's go to Matthew 4. I'm just going to read verses 1 through 2. It says, then was Hamashiach led up of the Spirit, you get that? Of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Because too many of us, we just jump into a fast without even being led by the Spirit. You got to be led by the Spirit, Zion. This is why Hamashiach made this example, so that you know that you really have to pray before you even fast. It's fat is that is if fasting is what the Most High wants you to do, you got to pray about that thing. And then verse 2 says, and when he was fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward in hunger. So we know he fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and that's a long time. Now, just because our Hamashiach fasted for 40 days and 40 nights don't mean that that's what you're supposed to do. Like I said, you have to really pray to the Most High and give you guidance on as far as how long you should fast. Okay. So again, I will repeat myself. So when you ask the question, how long should we fast? There is no concrete answer for that. That's going to depend entirely of you being led of the Spirit of the Most High. So now let's go to Mark 9:25 because I want to share some things with you because there are some things that require some fasting. All right. So let's go to Mark 9:25. And it says, when Hamashiach saw that the people came running together, he rebuked the foul spirit, saying unto him, thou dumb and deaf spirit, I charge thee, come out of him and enter no more into him. So this guy had some powerful demon in him, and our Hamashiach was able to cast him out, deliver him. And we had a lot of that going on during our forefathers' time. You read all the stories and you see all the accounts of those demons going into our people. And there's no difference today. A lot of Hebrews, a lot of people just have demons and don't even realize it. And sometimes you have to fast in order to have that stuff cast out. But let's go further. Let's continue. All right, let's jump down to verse 26. And the spirit cried and rent him sore and came out of him. And he was as one dead. That was one powerful demon. To be in you like that, and then all of a sudden he comes out and you like on the ground like dead. It says, insomuch that many said, he is dead. People around him thought he was dead. That's a powerful demon. Or you laid out on the ground like that. Verse 27. But Hamashiach took him by the hand and lifted him up, and he arose. Now, I want you to pay close attention to the next verse we're about to read because this is what this whole thing is leading to. And this is where the importance of fasting is going to really play a big part in our lives. Okay, so I want you to really pay attention to the next verse. All right, so let's go ahead and jump down to verse 28 and 29. And we're going to be on these two verses for a minute because I want to make sure that we hit this thoroughly, that you completely understand what's going on here. Verse 28. And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, why could not we cast him out? So the disciples were like, oh, wait a minute now. We've been walking with you for all these years. And, we're supposed to have the power that you've given us. How come we couldn't cast them out? How come we couldn't cast them demons out? So watch this answer that the Most High, that Hamashiach gave them. And he says, and read that part again, verse 28. And when he was come into the house, his disciples asked him privately, why could not we cast him out? Verse 29. And he said unto them, this kind can come forth by nothing but by prayer and fasting. That's something, y'all. So in other words, this guy had a demon so strong in him that it took Hamashiach having to cast him out. And he turns around and says, only this kind can come out by fasting. Now, what are your current day demons today? Because remember, the same things that our forefathers were dealing with, we are dealing with today. You look at all your addictions. I'm going to give you an example. Alcoholism. You have people who are addicted to alcohol, and it's a hard habit to kick. Now, I'm not talking about just sipping on some wine, which is fine. I'm talking about when people they can't handle themselves and they just get stupid drunk. We all got those in our families. We all got that crazy uncle that's always drunk all the time. That's a powerful demon. Drug addictions, that's a powerful demon. Sex addiction, when it comes to porn and all that kind of stuff, that's a powerful demon. Overeating, that's a powerful demon. That's an addiction. So it's just some things, brothers and sisters, that's going to require some fasting. Like I said, you must be praying, though. You must pray and be led of the Spirit. Now, is fasting the only way that it can come out? Well, according to scriptures, it's one of the best ways because, Hamashiach said it himself, this kind can only come out through prayer and fasting. And our people, we've been destroyed as a people, and our people are dealing with so much stuff. We are a sick people, brothers and sisters. I'm not going to lie to you. We just are. And we need all the help we can get. So there does come a point where you might have to fast, in order to gain that relationship with the Most High and to be able to overcome that thing that you're dealing with, that you're trying to overcome. That's why I said earlier, when you asked me a question, how long should we fast? Like I said, that's going to depend entirely upon you being led by the Holy Spirit and whatever mission or thing that you're trying to accomplish to overcome. And I can't put a time on that. I just can't, because that's between you and the Most High. And you don't need to tell people exact times when you're fasting. Now, if you want to tell somebody, hey, pray for me, I'm going to be fasting, that's fine. But don't give them the dates and times, and that's between me and you. And I wouldn't even recommend you just tell them at all. Just keep that between you and the Most High and go from there. Because, this is what it's all about. It's the relationship between you and the Most High, not you and your fellow brother or sister. This is the thing that you're trying to overcome. They can't overcome the sin for you. We're flesh and blood. That's why the Bible says we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So we're going to have to depend heavily upon the Father. And that's the same thing Hamashiach did. He depended heavily upon the Father. And he gave us that example so that we can do the same. We have to depend heavily upon Elohim. There's no other way. So like I said earlier, the reasons for fasting is limitless. And many Hebrews fast for different reasons, for whatever reasons they do. Again, it's only led by the Spirit of the Most High into what that thing that you're trying to receive, whether it's trying to overcome an addiction or whether it's just receiving an answer to a prayer or praying for someone, family member or friend or whoever. So we got to just keep that in mind. That's what fasting is all about. And of course, to bring us closer to the Most High Yah. Especially in these last days, there's a lot of Hebrews that are fasting more and everything. And that's why I wanted to do this subject. You just got to take it serious, though. Don't play around with this thing. If you're serious about overcoming whatever that addiction or whatever, just make sure you're sincere about it and you do it. You do it with all your heart, your mind, and your soul, and your strength. And the Most High will accomplish in you what you are trying to achieve through His power and His glory. So you can rest assured and believe that. So now let's go to some scriptures. And, you can pause the video anytime and just kind of copy these down. It's a little small. I tried to make it big, but let's just look at a few examples. I'm not going to read all of them. Just going to go through a few of them. Let's look at Nehemiah 9:1. And it says, now in the 24th day of this month, the children of Israel were assembled with fasting and with sackcloth and earth upon them. So you can see the different accounts of our forefathers fasting. And what I'm using right here is the Blue Letter Bible and everything. If you got that on your computer, it's a little good source. You can just type in fasting, or you can type in fast, or if you have a Strong's coordinate, just when you get a chance, just type in fast. It'll pull up all the verses dealing with fasting and everything. Let's go to Psalms 109:24. It says, my knees are weak through fasting, and my flesh falleth of fearless. I think that's what it says. It's really small on my computer, so I can't really see it too well. So, but it's true, because after fasting, you feel weak and everything. Now, one thing you don't want to do, brothers and sisters, I learned this the hard way. When you come off a fast, please, I beg you, please do not eat a heavy meal. because I did that one time and I paid for it. So you always want to start off light when you come off a fast, with some fruits, maybe some bread, some olive oil or something like that. But don't never eat a heavy meal after a fast. And like I said, there's several different fasts that people do. Some people just do an all water fast. For example, I know some Hebrews that are they might not eat anything after 5, and then they'll just go without anything and just drink water all through the night and day, and then don't eat anything until that later on that night or something like that. So, but however the Most High leads you to do it, then that's going to be up to you and the Most High. Okay, so, but we know by Bible definition of fasting, afflicting your souls, it just means abstaining from food and drink, and that's what fasting is. Now, I had another example. Somebody asked me, should we fast on the Shabbat? Again, I'm going to say this again. The Most High only required one fast out of the year, and that was for the Day of Atonement. Now, however, if you're led of the Spirit to fast every Shabbat, then again, saints, that's between you and the Most High. Now, let me tell you what you don't want to do. Now, just because you're fasting, don't force someone else to fast, not even your children. That's very dangerous. And I'm going to tell you why it's dangerous. I'm going to show you here in a minute. I'm going to show you a verse and prove to you that can be very dangerous, because you don't want somebody fasting in vain when they don't really want to. Because we Hebrews, sometimes we have a bad habit of doing it. Just because we're doing it, we expect everybody else to do it. And that's not what the Most High is calling us to be like, brothers and sisters. So if you want to fast on a Shabbat, that's fine. And if that's how you're being led by the Spirit, then that's fine. You do that. But don't expect anybody else to do that, because like I said before, the Most High, and you're going to keep hearing me saying this, because I'm saying this for a reason. Because some of our Hebrew brothers and sisters, we get too fanatical sometimes. And we want to go to extremes, trying to prove that. See, the Most High already knows your heart. It don't matter. You can't hide nothing from the Most High. Ain't no use to trying to fake the funk with the Most High, because He knows your heart. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a powerful verse that proves that the Most High knows your every and inner thoughts. Now, if you're fasting just to get attention or to win some type of popularity contest, you want to show the world that you can fast the longest and what have you, disfigure your face and make people see your pain, and because you're fasting, then you're wrong, Zion, because that's not what fasting is all about. As a matter of fact, no one should even know that you're fasting. That's something between you and the Most High. It shouldn't even be obvious with other people, because you know what you need to overcome. Only you know what you need to accomplish through the Most High. So that's between you and the Most High. Now, don't be like these heathens that be walking around with these little whips, be whipping themselves on the back, doing their little penance before everybody, so everybody can see that they're going through some trouble, going through some pain. We don't want to be like that. That's not us, brothers and sisters. That's not our way. And that's not the way that the Most High designed it. So when you dealing with fasting, it's something to be done in private between you only and the Most High. Now I'm going to get ready to take you to this verse I was telling you about in Ecclesiastes. So if you got your Apocrypha, you can find that in the Apocrypha. And many of you have been asking me, well, where could I get an Apocrypha from? Well, I got mine from Amazon. It's a little red book. Now, I don't know if they have large print, so, you have to do some research to find that out. So let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 23 and verse 19 through 20. And let's see how much the Most High really knows about us. It says, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not the eyes of Elohim, are, get this, saints, 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, and considering the most secret parts. Verse 20, he knew all things ere ever they were created. In other words, everything in this universe before it was even created, he knew. Every fabric. And goes on to say, so also after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. So I want to just touch on verse 19, where it says, And the eyes of Elohim are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. And that's why I was saying earlier, there is nothing we can hide from the Most High. So if we're really sincere in our fasting, the Most High is going to know it. He's going to know our hearts. And that's why I'm saying it's better that if you're just fasting because you want to for attention or whatever, you want to do it to be seen by other people, then it's better not to even fast. And so we just got to be careful with that. If you're going to do something like that, make sure you prayed about that thing. And that's where the Most High is leading you to fast. And then you'll know for sure. And like I said, your relationship with the Most High. No one else knows that. Only you. Now, let me share with you why you don't want to just be fasting in vain or trying to force somebody else to fast. And let's look what our forefathers did and the mistakes they made. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 58 and let's go to verse 3. It says, "Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not." So in other words, they're fasting and not seeing because everything is in vain. It says, "Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge." So you're doing all this fasting, and you haven't gained anything. You haven't saw anything because they were doing it in vain. It goes on to say, "Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure, and exact all your labors." That's some serious stuff. And it was like our forefathers were just taking this thing light. They wasn't taking this serious. Not all of them, because like I said, those verses I showed you, there were many sincere Hebrews that took fasting seriously and that were really sincere in the Most High. So, this thing ain't nothing to be played with. You don't just do it lightly, because the Most High, when you're fasting, he's ready to bestow his power upon you. We can't play around with that thing. He's going to give you power, but if we're playing around with it, he's not going to give it to you. All right, let's go on to verse 4. It says, "Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high." That's a serious note, saints. And, you can go back and read the rest of that. But our forefathers were doing some crazy stuff, doing a lot of things in vain, just for their own pleasure, for their own wickedness. And that's not what fasting is for. So I just wanted to show you that little example. What not to do. So let's talk about another serious note when it comes to fasting, and especially if you're using fasting to overcome an addiction or something. So let's just say you were suffering from an addiction. You fasted and you overcame that addiction, and you were clean, regardless of what it was, whether it's drugs, alcohol, food, any kind of gambling, don't matter. Let's say you overcame that thing and you were clean for like 4 years, and all of a sudden, somewhere down the line, you started to get back into that thing. You started getting close to it and experiment with it, and all of a sudden you get back into it. Well, guess what? Your end state is going to be worse than the beginning. I'm going to prove it to you. Let's go to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 43 and 44. It says, "When the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walketh through dry places, seeking rest, and findeth none. Then he saith, I will return into my house from whence I came out. And when he is come, he findeth it empty, swept, and garnished." Now, this is not only applying to going back to your addictions, but this can be spiritual. Let me give you an example. We know that Christianity is the biggest drug on earth. Now, you have Hebrews who have come into this walk and has been in this walk for a while, and all of a sudden they just go right back out into Christianity, go back to worshiping the pagan holidays and these false religions, what have you. Well, their end state is much worse, because how can you experience the truth and then all of a sudden you turn around? First of all, you come out of Christianity into the truth, and then you turn around and then you go right back into Christianity. That's some scary stuff, brothers and sisters, to experience something like that. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen time after time. So, this thing ain't nothing to play with. So when you coming into this faith, and when you build that relationship with the Most High, we got to be in this thing to stay, brothers and sisters. Until death do us part, we got to be in this thing to the end. That's why the Bible says, it's those who endure to the end that's going to have right to the tree of life. All right, let's jump down to verse 45 of Matthew 12. It says, Then goeth he and taketh with himself 7 other spirits more wicked than himself, and they enter in and dwell there. And the last state of that man is worse than the first. Even so shall it be also unto this wicked generation. And see, when you, it's so much, y'all. I mean, I'm telling you. And that's why the laws of the Most High are so important. I can't stress it enough. And you come into this truth and you decide to just give up the laws, go back into Christianity, go back to your wickedness, go back to your evilness that you came out of, your end state is going to be much worse. And brothers and sisters, I pray that I'm not scaring you too bad or discouraging you from fasting. But all I'm saying is that when you do fast, just make sure that you're really serious about that and prayed about that and asking for the guidance of the Most High. Because we can't play around with the Most High's power. And then he gives us victory over something and then we dive right back into it. That's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing to happen to a brother or a sister. So that's all I'm saying. Now let's talk about prayer, because that's one of the other ones I wanted to talk about as well too. So, most of you all know, or I should say pretty much all of you all know, the what they call the Lord's Prayer, the prayer HaMashiach, which is in Matthew. The one you learned in Christianity, first thing you learned in Christianity, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Y'all know the rest. But I want to show you something else. Something else that was taught to me by an elder 20 years ago. Showed me this. Very, very interesting. Now, right here before you, you see the tabernacle that was in the wilderness. Now, this was where the Most High dwelt. He dwelt in the most holy place. And this is when the Most High dwelt among his people. And everything around it was holy because the Most High dwelt in there. So I'm going to go through from the gate all the way to the Holy of Holies. And I'm going to share something with you that's going to really interest you and interest your mind and show you a way that some of you have been praying and you haven't even realized it. Because if you look at the prayer of HaMashiach, it's going to be a similar type prayer. Okay? So let's look at the gate. When you're coming into the gate, what's the first thing we do when we get on our knees and praise the Most High? We give him honor and glory. We thank him for all the things that he has done unto us. So we come into his gates with praises and thanksgiving. Now, if you see the altar of sacrifice, that's where the priest, that's where they sacrifice the animal, cut the fat, burn, to atone for the sins of whoever was bringing the offering, whatever offering they brought. So that represented the burning away of the sins. That represented the burning away of the sins. But see, the sins were still on you. Symbolically, the sins were still on you. So now the sins have to be washed away. So when the high priest went to the laver, that represented the washing away of the sins. Now I want to do a complete separate lesson on the sanctuary itself, because see, there's a lot of symbolism in this sanctuary that points to the Most High. And also HaMashiach is coming, because the Lamb without blemish, that represented HaMashiach. But there's a lot to this. I have to do a separate lesson because there is just not enough time to cover every detail in this lesson. Now, during that time, the high priest was the mediator between our people and the Most High. So that's why the priest was the one who was standing between us and the people. Let's go to John 14:6. And it says, HaMashiach said unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. So your priest was a representation of HaMashiach, the figure to come. But see, what happened over time, brothers and sisters, that all this lost its meaning to our forefathers. They became exceedingly wicked. The priests became exceedingly wicked. The kings became exceedingly wicked.
And that's why we kept going into slavery. But the Most High was trying to teach us a lesson through this whole tabernacle system to teach us true righteousness. I'm talking about true righteousness, and we still can learn true righteousness in this tabernacle. Now, let's go. So now after the priest went to the laver, which represents the washing away of the sins. So as you're praying this prayer, you're praying, you're coming through the gate with praises and thanksgiving, and you're confessing your sins to the Most High. He's burning them on the altar. And then now you're ready for the Most High to wash your sins away. And now you're ready to enter into the holy place. Now the holy place, which contains the 7 golden candlestick, table of showbread, and the altar of incense. Now we move to the 7 golden candlesticks. We know what that represents. That represents the Most High's truth, His word, His laws, this oil in our lamps that keeps burning bright in us, His Spirit. And then we move to the table of showbread. Remember, the Bible says, man should not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of Elohim. You see how important this is? I mean, this is some serious, learning, brothers and sisters. And the symbolism in this is so profound, our forefathers missed it. They missed the whole thing. And then when the priest moved to the altar of incense, that represented to interceding for all his people, everybody. That's where the prayers go up for everybody. That's when you start praying for your family members, your friends, what have you. You start praying for your people constantly and everything. And then when you do that, once a year, the priest would go into the most holy place. You see, because that place stayed off and that place was not occupied only to once a year when the priest went on. And that's when the whole congregation fasted for the whole day. That's why I was saying earlier that there was only one appointed time that the Most High demands of us to fast. And that's during the Day of Atonement. And that is a whole day period, or what you want to call a 24-hour period. That's when we fast. And so, but this thing is beautiful, saints, when you look at it. And I'm going to share something with you. And a lot of you, I guarantee you, not one of you have caught this. But the majority of the lessons that we teach are taught indirectly in this manner. Now you may say, well, wait a minute. What do you mean by that? How do you teach a lesson according to this? Well, indirectly, when you're talking about praises and thanksgiving, that's what I always like to start off with, is praises and thanksgiving. And then talk about our people and just take it on through to the most holy place and take it on to Elohim. That's why I always close out with Revelation 14:12. And I'm telling you, it is a powerful prayer, and I pray this prayer all the time. But like I said, I want to do a separate lesson on it, because that way we can get really detailed, because I want to share with you, saints. And if you want to read ahead, just read the book of Exodus. It talks in how they built the sanctuary and how they used all the gold. That was part of the reason why they got spoiled, because they got all the gold from Egypt, and a lot of that gold was used to intertwine in the curtains of the sanctuary and everything. The altar made of gold. So there was a lot of things. So I want to show you each fabric of the tabernacle and how it represented the Most High in every way, and how it pointed to the Hamashiach. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, saints. So if y'all's willing, near future, prayerfully, we can do a lesson on the sanctuary. I'll definitely have to do a couple of parts on it, because it's so detailed. And speaking of lessons, it's just so much, Zion, that the Most High has put on my heart and mind. And if I was able to do 30 lessons a day for you all, then I would do it. But we know that's impossible. So we can only do what we can. So but it's so much to cover in a short period of time, because you all are learning like unbelievably fast. And we have to make the best of what we have. We got to study what we have. The Most High has given us His word. We just got to dig and study for ourselves, because like I keep saying, there's going to be a time where they're going to shut all this media stuff down. And the only thing you think you're alone now, you're really going to be tested. We're all going to be tested in that manner. So, but we got to keep pushing, Zion. Got to stay strong. So I'm going to leave you with Revelation 14:12. Here's the patience of the saints. Here are those who keep the commandments of Elohim and have the faith of Hamashiach. So with that being said, brothers and sisters, I pray that you are edified in this lesson of prayer and fasting. Hope you're not too scared to fast after some verses we've read, but like I said, stay encouraged, Zion, and just keep everything before the Most High. And I say, shalom and stay strong.